Shalom, giving all praises to Yahweh Bashem, El Shai Bashem, Rakakwada, Shalom to the 144,000 and the rest of the elect out there. Shalom to you all. Let's see where I go with this. Anyway, I'm going to entitle this video, Job, the Job of the Bible was not an Edomite vocab alone. So this is the video, is a short vocab confronting members of the IUIC. And okay, it says Colt accidentally cites verse showing they are hypocrites, which that's not the case. He had I don't believe he read it, but he kind of quoted it. Matthew 23, he just quoted it. He didn't mention the precept or the scripture. Let's say that right. Or the verse where it speaks about wearing the garments with the fringes and the phylacteries, and how the Lord, the Savior, condemned them for that. He's saying, do the laws, but do what they say not as they do, for they say and do not, meaning the laws. They say, tell you to keep the laws, they don't keep the laws. They're a bunch of hypocrites. So he's applying that to what they're doing. No, they're not doing what the scribes and the Pharisees, the wicked scribes and Pharisees were doing in Matthew 23. They're out there on the highways and the hedges, as the scriptures say. Precept to come to mind is I went through this yesterday, Matthew 22, to prepare for the great marriage. So how do you prepare for the great marriage? You get the people and you go out on the highways and the hedges. That's also in Matthew 25, the 10 virgins, 5 were wise and 5 were foolish. It said, and at midnight there was a cry made, and the cry was certain men on the highways and the byways teaching the word, especially on the computer, the web. So I'm looking at the, so you can watch, this is short. So I'm looking at the comments. So it says right here, was it DJ 8342, vocab, LOL, Job is a man of color. And if you're sick, you it should be, you get a darker color, not lighter. Laugh out loud. Yeah, I mean, you can get sick, you can get pale too. And this is twofold. It represents the low state that he was in, but he was also dark. It said, my skin is black upon me. So if it's referring to skin color alone, Europeans don't get black. If they get a tan, they get red. They don't get black. Myself, in the summertime, I'm as dark or even a little darker than Apostle Ricard. I get dark, in the summer months, but I don't get burned. I did my skin color, turns darker brown. So anyway, so he made the statement. So here comes vocab. In the Testament of Job, the pseudepigraphical Jewish text, which I never heard of. I hope I pronounced that right. I'm not going to look it up and see how they pronounce it, but there's supposed to be a text. I said, I never heard of this text. I did look it up, and I'll give it to you in a minute. Written in Israel or Egypt. So he doesn't know where it's written in. So this is a book that somebody could have wrote up and said, this is Anyway, it said Job identifies. He even says that this, okay, please forgive me. Job identifies himself as a descendant of Esau, which is nowhere in the scriptures, right? or the Apocrypha, the Bible, whatever you want to call it. The point is not that this text, not that the text is canonical, meaning accepted as a text, because you got a lot of books that you know, you have people say, well, you got the Book of Barnabas. We don't accept that, right? The Roman Catholics accept the Apocrypha. Protestants, they don't accept the Apocrypha, because they say it's non-canonical. It's not accepted text. It says the point is not that the text is. I'm sorry. The point is not that the text is canonical. The point is that ancient Jews had no problem identifying Job as an Edomite. Why do you? So he's got to push that narrative of the Edomites. Because just in case, he says all the Edomites are done away with, there's no such thing as Edomites. Last week, we went into the victims of Mount Vesuvius, the eruption in Pompeii in 79 AD or CE, Common Era. And they mentioned two family members of the Edomites, a Herodian dynasty. It was a woman, I believe that, I forget the name, but one of them was Agrippa. Not the Agrippa during the time of Paul. Or it could have been the same Agrippa, because he could have still been living at the time. But it mentions Agrippa, and then it mentions a woman. They were both of the house of the Herodian dynasty, which were Edomites. So some years ago, Vocab rolled up on one camp and said, "Oh, the no such thing." Well, he said that the Edomites were done away with a long time ago. We went into the history. You know, one of the line of the famous Maccabean family, High Priest John Hyrcanus, he spared certain Edomites. He killed some and he spared. Oh, Christians go to 2 Maccabee 5. See, Judas Iscariot killed all the Edomites. Well, wait a minute. John Hyrcanus came long after Judas Maccabees, excuse me. So then he had to push, he had to push the, the narrative. He had to change the narrative. So he said, this is two years ago. I forget what camp. Like I said, he said, oh, the Edomites were done away with after 70 A.D. There's no mention of the Edomites. Well, just last week we read that there were two family members that got caught up in the, the eruption of Mount Vesuvius in 79 A.D. So we check. So when you say things, we check things out. All right. So this guy has to reach and bring out this book, Pseudepigraphical Jewish text. And he says he's not sure where it's written. Written in Israel or maybe Egypt. Job identifies himself as the descendant of Esau. So he has this book that no one heard of. Who knows about that book? What's this all about? So he can, matter of fact, let me do this. You know what I'm going to do? Let me look up, let me go there. Let me do this. Let me do this here. See, if Esau can't go directly to the book, they'll give you other books. All right. Okay, let me go over here. let me put it this way. How to say, how to pronounce okay, let's listen.
Soodpigrapha. Soodpigrapha.
I was close. Soodpigrapha. Soodpigrapha. I was close.
Soodpigrapha.
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 So now let's see what it means. Soodpigrapha. Definition. Give me a second. Let me go down here. What books of the Bible are Soodpigrapha? Okay, Maccabees, 3 Maccabees, Books of Jubilee, Baruch. That's a apocrypha. Spurious or pseudonymous. Get the word pseudonym. Writings, especially Jewish writings, ascribed to the various biblical patriarchs and prophets, but composed within approximately 200 years of the birth of the Lord. So you hardly ever, hear about these books, but that's in other words, these are not necessarily, accepted texts. That's why I gave you the list there. Let me give you the list again. The Calvinists, the Protestants, they don't accept these books. Assumptions of Moses. Ethiopic books of Enoch. Slavonic second book of Enoch. Book of Jubilees. Let's see what other books they mention. Okay, so there's some more information on that. So he had to reach past the King James, past the NLT, because he accuses us, the only thing the Israelites use is KJV. So now we go to the NLT, the ESV, and the other books. So you happy now? Okay. Let me do this. Okay, so this is Soodpigrapha, Soodpigraphical or Soodpigrapha Jewish text. Soodpigraphical Jewish texts are writings from between 300 BCE and 300 CE. BC before the Messiah, and CE or AD is counting from the time that the Lord was born. CE is supposed to be Common Era. This is before the Common Era. This is a Common Era, also known as AD, attributed to the biblical figures, but not included in the Hebrew Bible. So these are books that go deeper into these characters, great people in the Bible, Bible or Apocrypha, and are not considered canonical accepted text by most major churches. So let me come over here. Where am I? Okay, so I looked up, I put in who was Job an Edomite. It says, well, not explicitly stated in the book of Job. In other words, it doesn't say in the book of Job in the King James or the NLT or the ESV, Job is an Edomite. There's a strong scholarly consensus that Job was likely an Edomite. So they don't even know. And Job was an Israelite. Job would be like King David, a man after the Most High's heart. The Most High had a bet with the spiritual demon Satan concerning a man with great integrity. And then the Most High, he said, hey, wait a minute. I'm going to win this bet. Because Job, that Edomite, even though I made Edomites to be the wicked, this guy, he pulled a fast one on me. That show you that the Most High is not perfect. See, this is why I say, call the cops on this clown. He's a complete fucking clown. He's a joke. And then you got these stupid IUIC members that's going to go, is going to go back and forth with him. A descendant of Esau. He had a crew. The crew don't even follow him. Remember he had a little crew? Was the Shield Squad? Where the fuck are they? He's out there by himself looking like an idiot, man. Like I said, we say call the cops on him because we don't have, you're the same, the dude on the basketball court, the dude that can't play, he comes up and everybody say, I gotta go home. That's him. Okay, nobody picks him. Is it based on his location in the land of Oz? You had Israelites living, Uriah the Hittite. The land of the Hittites are Canaanites. Who's living in that land? Israelites. So we were living in other lands outside of Israel. Right? That's what the stranger is all about, which is part of Edom. And his potential identification with the Edomite king, Jobab. Here's more detailed Here's more detailed breakdown. Here's a more detailed breakdown. Geographical context: the book of Job places Job in the land of Uz. This land is identified as being within Edom. Let's say that actual Job lived in the land of Edom. You had Israelites that were scattered. That, like I said, the law of the stranger. What is the law of the stranger? You had Israelites that moved out of the land of Palestine and settled. You got the Israelites of Alexandria, Egypt. They come to the Passover every year, but they didn't stay in Jerusalem. They went back. Some of them said, you know what, I want to stay here. I want to stay here. And what you would have to do is find out what tribe that individual from. Okay, you're from the tribe of Gad. Okay, this is your land right here. Or you're from the tribe of Judah. Okay, we're going to give you a plot of land. So anyway, identified as being within Edom, a region to the south of Israel in the northwest corner of Arabia. Lamentation 4:21, the verse supports the idea that Uz was part of Edom. Jobab, but they won't tell you, well, they'll kind of tell you that Job is a good guy and he was an Edomite. He's a white man. So that means that's a door for Esau to come in. No, it's not, because Job is not an Edomite. Jobab and Esau, the Septuagint, an ancient Greek translation of the Hebrew Old Testament, suggests Job's genealogy, stating that he was a grandson of Esau and a ruler of Edom, possibly named Jobab. Genesis 36 mentions Jobab ben Zerah, the king of Edom. Eliphaz the Temanite, which is an Edomite. Eliphaz, one of Job's friends, is identified as a Temanite, which is a term associated with Edomite territory. Rabbinic tradition. Some rabbinic traditions consider Job to be a pious Gentile or one of the prophets of the Gentiles, further suggesting a connection outside the traditional Israel lineage. Well, he was an Edomite, but he was just as good as an Israelite. So now, let's go to, we're going to the Septuagint. Let me see. We're in the 42nd chapter of the book of Job, the Septuagint, the book of Job. Okay, it says 16th verse. Okay, and Job lived after his affliction 170 years. After his affliction, in all the years, he lived with 240. He lived to be 240 years. 240 years. So now we got to place a timeline in history. Did he come along after Moses and the Israelites? Nope, he had to come before them because he lived to be more than 200 years old. When you go to Genesis chapter 6, it speaks about how Genesis 5, Genesis 4, leading up to Genesis chapter 6, men lived to be 800, 900, Methuselah 969 years, almost 1,000 years. And the Most High in the Genesis 6, he programmed them not to live that long. And it programmed the body not to live that. The Most High can make you live forever. You know what I'm saying? So he went from 900, 800, 969 to 120. Then from 120 to 80. Average span of anybody on the planet Earth is about 80. Sometimes you got people that live 85, 90. You got people that live 70, 60, whatever. But the average is about 80. Do the research. What's the average lifespan of people on the earth? It's going to be about 80. Let's go to that. See, we check out everything. We're not like you goofies in the church. Let me do American person. What's the average lifestyle of the American person? I don't know, I did that. I'm sorry. What's the average lifetime? Lifetime of an American person. Yep. Look at that. Look at that. As of 2022, United States, 76.4. Foreman died at 76, with males 74.8 years and females at years. Males at 74 years and females at 80. So the average is about 80. Some people die in the 70s, some 60s. When people die of natural causes, it's usually around 70, 80 plus. If you live to be 90, you're doing pretty good. You took care of yourself. But if you live to be 80, you, like the scriptures say, so 80, that's 70 years, and with strength, 80, which is 80 years. So that's what it is, 80 years, average. Did not the Most High say that in the scriptures? But before that, they lived to be 800, 900 years old. Genesis 6, I'm mentioning this again. Genesis 6, it said they're going to live to be 120. When did Moses, to show you that Job was around before Moses, according to what we're reading in Septuagint. Okay, let me see. What am I going to say? When did Moses of the Bible die? 120. Remember, they went from 800, 900, and the Most High said 120, which that didn't mean they're just going to start dropping dead. They're going from the guy's 800 years. He has a son. His son only lived to be 120. No. The age, what's the word? Regressed. Yes, that's the right word. So Methuselah living 969, his son living less than that, his son living less than that, his son living less than that. Before you know it, they started dying at 400. They started dying at 300. 120 was a year, but then the Most High set your body to only live on average of 180 years. According to the Bible, Moses died at Mount Nebo. He was 120 years old. So Job couldn't have come along after Moses. He had to come before Moses. So now let's come back over here. I found, let me see, 15 verse. Let me go to 15. And there were not found in comparison with the daughters of Job fairer than they in all the world, and their father gave them an inheritance among their brethren. And Job lived after his affliction 170 years, and all the years he lived were 240 years. And Job saw his sons and his sons' sons, the fourth generation. And Job died an old man and full of days, over 200 years. 17 verse, and it is written that he will raise again with those whom the Lord raises up. That's reincarnation right there. You can also read that in the King James. This man is described in the Sirach, which is the book of Sirach, which you can't even, let me do this. How many people got the book of Sirach? None of you. As living in the land of Osis or Uz, on the border of Idumea and Arabia, and his name before was Jobab. They're saying Job's name before was Jobab. (17) why? And having taken an Arabian wife, he begat a son, whose name was. Wait a minute! It said he has 7 sons and didn't it say that he has 7 sons and 7 daughters? So right here, this is obviously a different Job. This is why we don't take Vocab Malone seriously at all. He begot a son whose name was Enon, and he himself was the father of Zerah. This is talking about Job's family line, one of the sons of Esau, and his mother Basara, so that he was the 5th from Abraham. So if you go on to Abraham, Isaac, Esau, because this is the line of Esau, Job would have to be mentioned with Jacob and Esau and the Israelites before Moses, before they went to Egypt. So this is all made up crap. And these were the kings who reigned in Edom, which country he also ruled over. It never said he was a king. And it said he had one son. I just read that. He had one son. The scripture said he had more than one son and daughters. Then when the Most High restored him, he had many, many more sons. So why did they record one son? Belak, the son of Beor. And the name of the city was Danaba. But after Bach Jobab, who is called Job. This ain't the same person. And after him, Asum, who was governor of the country of Teman, that's Teman. And after him, Adad, the son. This is not the same Job. Plain Moab and the city. Friends who came to him were Eliphaz of the children of Esau. That was his friends. Which they could have been Israelites living in that land. And back then, remember Jacob and Esau were cool with each other. Well, Jacob was cool with Esau. He kissed him on the neck and had his sons kiss him on the neck and referred to themselves as brothers. Amos 1:11 tell you, no, we're not brothers no more. All the wickedness that you did, go to Obadiah 1 verse 10. So this guy, Vocab, is stretching. And these guys right here, you can see that these guys are just, there's no life in the members of the IUIC. Like, why you think I call them zombies? There's no life in these guys, man. They just memorize, they get the precept package, they memorize them scriptures, and then they just regurgitate them. They don't question the scriptures. They don't question Nate. They think Nate is a god. So now let me just see where I'm going to go now. So he had, wait a minute. If you go to this particular book, a Sudi pictorial Jewish text, which he says is not canonical, is not accepted text. This guy's stretching, and this is why we believe that he's set up by the small hats, man. He never says anything bad about the small hats. Every small hat that dies, are they going straight to hell? You believe in hell? No, because they're the people. Okay, that means all Israel's going to be saved, right? Because they didn't accept the Messiah. None of those small hats, are just traditional Orthodox small hats, none of them accept the Messiah. They're still waiting for the Messiah to come. You, on the other hand, believe that the Messiah came 2,000 years ago, but you believe he's a so-called white man. Okay, so let me go to the notifications. Okay. Let's see what's happening here. Yeah, Trump is looking bad every day. He's looking worse and worse. Just looking at these Anyway, with that, I'm going to say shalom. On to the next. Shalom.